Hello you guys, about lighting? Probably. But you guys are not a lighting anime. So today we are going to fix something that probably can blow up your mind. Although yeah, we are not fixing this anyway. So yeah, we are fixing is a Meter Pro. What is a Meter Pro? They are used in multimeter. So a multimeter Pro is broken. So today we're gonna show you how to fix it step by step, and also show you how things work properly, because sometimes you don't know how things work. So today in this video we're gonna show you how things work. If you don't understand how things work, I can let you understand with 5 seconds. If you're not a dumbass. Alright, so anyway, to know how things work, we first need to know how this works. This is a Meter Pro. That is a piece of wire connect to a multimeter. You connect to the mains and you measure the voltage, or measure the resistance of the wire, or short circuit, resistance, current, capacitance, and a lot more. A multimeter sometimes can be fit in the oscilloscope or function generator or the signal generator, whatever. I will get that in future, because I need it to measure AC voltage and fluorescent ballast glitching problem. And some PWM drive LED light, like for example, what is PWM drive LED light? They're probably like power supply. Power supply is the one thing, and PWM, like if you my 12-volt power supply is for LED signboard. Actually, you can tune the brightness on the small potentiometer. That's using a screwdriver to tune the potentiometer. That thing is a type of regulator voltage. So you can tune the voltage down to let the LED light glow dimmer. But for the reason, if you're using LED neon light, I have red, green, blue. Like red LED, like some of the LED light behavior might be different. Like only 1 volt, red light on, green off, blue off. Like 3 volt, red is full brightness, green was bright, but blue is dim. So for this we're using PWM. PWM is switching the LED light on and off very fast. That fast actually can shock you like AC voltage similar, but that fast is using the high voltage, using a small voltage to turn on and off very fast. And this is called PWM. PWM driver actually fit into most power supply, although some of LED light power supply, they are more specific, that kind of like. So they fit in the type of circuit, so you can run it. So you can run that shit. You can run the LED light to like dimmer, but all the LED light in the right brightness. They're not like red brighter than green like this. No, they're all the LED light operating the same power. But if you use camera, they might be flickering. That's called PWM. Some multimeter I haven't buy it. It's made by Fitness one. Fitness multimeter is the best because they build oscilloscope and signal generator. That's all I want. I want these two functions in multimeter, and that's all. I probably need to get in the future. So that type of multimeter, you can measure PWM driver circuit, so you can know how the wavelength begin with. Anyway, so today I'm using an analog multimeter because all my multimeter are stored in 2 bags. I don't want to take out one by one. Although I have few of the multimeter in my side. Let's test the first one. So for the multimeter over here, we have the problem. The Pro was broke off. Like recently, the wire was stuck inside, and when I want to use it, and I know why is no load, and I forgot this break off. And they look like this, so I opened it up and found they have a break off connection. Settle. Alright, so how to settle this problem? You probably say buy a new Pro. For a second, you don't need to waste money on 10 ringgit Pros, because you actually can fix it by few seconds. Although the wire are very tight and neat, usable. This is 1.5 mm wire. Although they're not very quite 1.5 mm, the rubber is thicker than the copper wire. There's a problem because this is cheap copper wire. Although I can make it to like better copper wire for the reason. Okay, alright. So for this, Baja Lightning want to use cutter, you strip off the copper, expose the copper. You can see this thin only the copper, and you put it to the hole. Like that. And the copper wire will spit out over the head. For this, you still can tighten it up, but I wouldn't recommend doing like this. All I recommend is re-solder the wire, but I don't have time to solder the wire one by one. I just do that. This is dodgy stuff. Don't do it. This is dodgy stuff anyway. Don't do it. Don't do it. This is dodgy stuff. Don't do it. Also, I would like to use some electric tape because I want to support the wire for the purpose. I use this pro to measure I use this pro to measure some very hard to measure stuff only, like terminal blocks. I use this most of it. I use a high quality pro in my bag here. They are much thicker than this one. These are for this type of multimeter only. These are for analog multimeter use. That's why I don't throw this away, because some of the pro inside my bag they are high quality one, but for analog multimeter they are not suitable. That's the problem. Also, this analog multimeter can measure something that unmeasurable, like leaking voltage. But some modern multimeter, they are measurable. For me, I have a brain issue. So for this, I doesn't care about how to use it. Although this analog multimeter is good by electrical search, because some of the multimeter like last time I used the previous multimeter made by ProKicks, they actually exploded from my air purifier checking, because I want to check how much power they output from the transformer, because more of the air purifier have built-in transformer to set voltage up and down randomly. So I want to check that circuit. Usually outside was raining until something happened. My meter wire I connected to check and exploded. After that, I know there was lightning strike outside, so the surge protection has no load. The load is direct going into my multimeter and fried the circuit. So frightening the circuit makes the multimeter not usable, eventually wasting money to buy a new one. That's why I want to test when it's raining. I want to test some harder test part, like testing these. I will recommend to use this analog multimeter because they just direct power, they're no load. Anyway, so it fixed like that. I should say probably fixed. So fixed, and I probably to put few of the electric tape on the side so they can last longer, so they can not falling apart that easily. Because this pro is very dodgy, that's why they came with the analog multimeter. Analog multimeter is the most dodgy piece of crap. Now let me measure AC voltage to put it on 250 volt. Now let me measure it. Yeah. Okay, now we can measure voltage on 250 volt. Oh, of course, I measure this around on the. I put this on the ballast. So I put this the thing that connects to the ballast. So this will actually fright the multimeter because the ballast is limiting the current. Although you can see here, the power on 1000 volt, we can rate it 250. Here we have about, what the hell? So here we have about 200 volt. Like I should say, our country voltage eventually doing like this. Like sometimes 200, sometimes 210, 230, 240 or 250 or sometimes 260. I should say our house here power consumption is different type, like 200 to 260. That's why some of our fluorescent light glow brighter, some LED light blow up instantly. That's the problem. That's why I hate. They don't know how to regulate the voltage. Anyway, they don't have surge protection. I don't know. Because the direct transformer, like step-down transformer, and power the whole house, it doesn't know the transformer is failure. And that's why sometimes 200, sometimes 200, sometimes over 260. I should say 260 is eventually making my lamp glow brighter. Eventually some LED light was dropping the lifetime, some will blow up instantly. That's why I go into Aeon Mall and found why the hell at the time I measured my home AC voltage was 260, my fluorescent light grow brighter, this LED light doesn't care because this LED light are 280 volt. The maximum voltage is 280, so it doesn't matter, it doesn't care. All my electrical appliances are above about 280, like only rice cooker they are 240, but they still manage to work because they manage. That's why at the time, Aeon Mall, a lot of LED tube that blew up, they are made by Philips one, because Philips LED tube is about, where is that type of LED? Oh yeah, I have the Philips tube there that I basically use everywhere in Aeon. They are Philips MyCare tube and they are around, they are TA tube, they are 220, 240, that's why they blew it up. That's why a lot of LED tube they die at the place because the voltage is actually rising up and the LED tube cannot support and eventually die. Because all the Philips LED they look like this. That's why I have some of the very expensive LED tube made by Philips one, like Aeon Mall still use that. Like Aeon Mall still use the type of LED tube. They're high quality, but problem is the voltage rating is very low. The voltage rating is very low quality. That's why and now I doesn't use that LED tube because now the voltage you can see. Alright, now it's 240. See? That's why it's 200 now, it's 240. I should say the voltage is rising, that's why my fluorescent light sometimes blinks, sometimes not. Problem one. That's why I don't use Philips LED light, I use for testing only. What happens if I put it? Because now I have ballast regulated. If this is vibrating the Pro, oh, put it on 10, it's vibrating much better. Because now the ballast is actually drawing current from the ballast and the ballast slowly warming up a bit. And this thing eventually can kill the coil inside and my ballast is slightly vibrating. Make sure I don't put it to resistance, all this will blow up. Make sure I don't put it to resistance, all this will blow up. Anyway, here is output live wire. Let me measure it for you. Here is live wire, so that's why these are very low quality. But this is not live. So these are probably live. See? That's why this Pro is not good for this purpose. Anyway. That's why analog multimeter we can play with like this. But now I can feel the circuit over here start to heat up. My ballast knot is still very cold. Because I turned on the air conditioner, although this coil start to heat up inside. Eventually it will start to smoke later. See? I put it to maximum, right? See? It's dropping the load. Okay, I put on 250. Wow, now it's on 240, 200. Now it's about 240, alright, it's dropping. Alright, it's good. I have to put on the 10, but whatever. Let me unplug this is going crazy. So anyway, this is how we fix a Meter Pro. Actually, it's very easy to fix, although I still don't know how things work. So fixing a Meter Pro can be very easy, but this is not very recommended to you. I not really recommend fixing Meter Pro like this. I not recommended. This is for emergency. Like if I want to use it now, I better do it like this. This is for emergency. But now you don't know how things work only. It doesn't care about anything. So this is for emergency use. I not recommend to do it like this. I recommend you to buy a new Pro. But for me, I use these to test resistance only. I doesn't need to test voltage. I test voltage by using high quality Meter Pro inside the 2-bag over here. I use that high quality one recently because to test high voltage, because sometimes it can fail and causing problem. This I use to test resistance because the resistance of this wire is very low and resistance of this wire is very high. That's why problem. That's why. And here also very hot. These are high voltage shunt. Okay, on this multimeter, and this is the cover for the coil. And look at the wire, it's very thin. And I know this, the wire here is start to melting. That's why I hate using this multimeter anyway. Thank you guys for watching.